All right, everyone. Welcome to another Friday edition of the Q&A with Alan and Marshall show. I'm Marshall Atkinson.
I'm Alan Howe with Easy Way.
And welcome to our show. This is a Q&A show, which means it's a question and answer show, and we need you to participate. So the first thing we love you to do is just say hello. So wherever you are right now, just in the comment, just say hello. If you haven't been here before, go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and let StreamYard know it's okay to use your face and your name. Otherwise, you come across as the dreaded anonymous Facebook user. So,
and we get to come up with a name then, which isn't always fun. But
right. Yeah, and we would also love it if you would share that you're watching the show right now, because we would love to build our audience. So if you could do that for us, that would be incredible. And we thank you. So,
and you know, Marshall, if they're ever on Spotify or one of their favorite audio channels, they can go listen to us and share us there too now. We don't talk about that enough.
Right.
That cool. This is recorded and uploaded on audio. So all the episodes.
Great. So we have somebody with us today, Alan. Would you care to introduce
Sure.
our guest?
We have the most honored Nancy Minnie with Madeira, USA with us. We have had everybody in the industry, and Marshall and I, we thought we've got to get someone from embroidery in, because I am far from an expert on embroidery. Like, I don't know anything. So Nancy, welcome to Q&A with Alan and Marshall. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, guys. It's an honor to be here with you, and I'm really looking forward to participating and getting some good questions for embroidery.
Oh, I think we'll have
people who might not know about your company or you, or, kind of tell us what you do and a little bit about your company.
Sure. So I'm here with Madeira, USA. We are the U.S. division of Madeira, who's worldwide. Very recognized in the embroidery industry and, top quality threads. And we here in the U.S. have the full packet when it comes to embroidery. So we've got your backings, your bobbins, and all of your accessory supplies that you're going to need from Madeira, USA. We've been in the country for probably close to 40 years now. I've been with Madeira for about 20 of those 40. And just kind of learned embroidery from the ground up. Working here over the years, I'm in the marketing department. I do the in-house embroidery, and no, we don't do contract embroidery. So we're not doing embroidery for other people. We're doing it for ourselves, whether it's for promotions, testing things, whether it's a new product, or maybe somebody's having an issue with a product, and just to confirm that the product is operating as it should. And I can tell you right now, I've yet to find a bad thread that's come back to us. But, here today, we're going to, give you the opportunity to ask those questions to find out, why isn't something working? Or, there's just so many variables when it comes to embroidery, as I'm sure there is in the screen printing as well. And it takes them all to get it all running well.
I love that you test things as the manufacturer and going, yet to find a problem with that. I'm the same way, going, the dreaded operator user error. So
that's always my fault. I'm the operator error.
And it's and you got to find the casual way of saying, okay, here's the deal. Here's what's probably going on.
Right.
Just coming up with the solution. So
great. So let's say hello to some folks. So please chime in and say hello, and don't forget to ask questions later.
Yep.
But we want to say good morning to Charles in New Mexico. So how you doing, buddy?
Yeah.
And then Gosta is here as usual from Uppsala, Sweden. So good morning. Or is it late at night? I guess it's late at night for him, isn't it?
How about just hello, Gosta?
Yeah. How about that? And Jim's here. How you doing, Jim?
Jim, how you doing?
Hey, Jim, are you back to work right now, or are you still recovering? Can you let us know? We'd love to find out what's going on with you.
Yep.
Frank, good morning with S&S. Good to see you.
How you doing, Frank?
Peter's here. Hello, Pete and Val from Sweet Teas for You in Port Huron, Michigan. Alan did an awesome job with the show last week. I guess he had to carry my load since I wasn't able to participate. So,
well, that's Pete and Val just being, supporting the mitten, man, just supporting us. So thank you so much.
Those Michiganders stick together, don't you?
We got to stick together.
And then Kisa's here. Good morning from Texas.
How you doing,
Good
Kisa?
to see you, Kisa. And Jim says both. Okay, well, good. Well, thanks,
Jim.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we get the GSG commercial going, and they'll come back with our first topic. What do you think?
I think so, considering it was GSG as a Madeira dealer, put us in touch with them. So, yeah, let's talk about GSG.
All right, here we go. All right, I got the earworm in my head now. It's like my favorite song.
It is. I hear that, and I just think www.gogsdg.com. You know what? I just noticed too on their video that when they're doing the heat applied on the hat, what it said was Gull Lake, and that's a lake in Michigan. I know that's where Mallory and her family live in Gull Lake, Michigan.
How about that?
I just noticed that. So.
Right. And so Jim says, by the way, back to my full-time print shop still down.
Okay.
All right. So good to hear that you're recovering, but we want that print shop back up. So
absolutely. Glad you're doing better though, Jim.
And Bruce says still hot in Arizona. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I like the heat. So, but I work inside. Right now it's 76.
Inside. What is it outside right now, Marshall? 100 and what?
I don't know. Does it say on my phone? Hold on. It's only 93. So
only 93.
It'll be 102, 3, whatever later. So
yep.
It's it's only 9:08 here. So
absolutely.
It's still in the morning. Cool. So, hey, let's get into our first topic. You guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
All right. So, Nancy, this one's aimed squarely at you. You've got something new coming out that nobody knows. Right?
So, we're actually scooping. We're scooping it.
We're scooping it for sure. So, everybody in the world, it seems like, the recycled products are such a big topic, and, what can we do to help reduce that? So Madeira, our headquarters, came out with a brand new thread called Polyneon Green, and it is made of all recycled polyester. So the demand is out there. Madeira came up with the supply, and we are getting ready to launch this next week. And it's called Polyneon Green. It's going to have pretty much all the same colors as our regular Polyneon polyester thread. We're going to start out with 70 colors, the most popular ones. And from there, we will just keep increasing them as production can supply them. So it's very exciting for us. I have a couple of cones here. I can kind of throw them up there.
Are these a matte or a shine, or?
They're shiny. They're a beautiful shiny polyester thread.
Okay.
So
it's almost as shiny as your fingernails.
I totally coordinated with my fingernails for sure. But yeah, they have the same beautiful sheen as our regular Polyneon. So Polyneon Green, watch out for that next week. And we're going to have that available for you to start selling. I do the testing as well.
Uh-huh.
And it runs like a charm.
And this is going to be Alan being a screen print geek going, Why would someone use a polyester thread, especially a gloss one? What applications would that be for mostly?
Um, People love the shine when it
Yeah.
comes to embroidery, and polyester is a man-made fabric or material, I should say. So it has a shine to it for sure. We actually have other threads that don't have a shine. So we do have a matte finish polyester thread. So they've taken the shine away, and different
Right.
applications call for different things. But when it comes to embroidery, it has a bit of a elevated value to it
Sure.
compared to a screen print. And, they both have their places in the industry, but they would certainly want a nice shiny design. The digitizing that's done with them, you can kind of see it on the cone.
Uh-huh.
You can see all the different blues in there, and that's
Right.
literally just the way it was wound and the different angles of it. So when it comes to embroidery, digitizing itself, you can use one color and get multiple colors within the design, depending on which angle you look at it from.
So if you guys are watching right now and do embroidery, what is the most popular thread color that you use? Can you just drop us a comment? We would love to know. And just as an informal poll.
Yeah.
By the way, I really love shiny embroidery thread. And over the years, I've done a lot of stuff for my clients, especially with tonal looks. And so if you imagine a shirt, Alan, like you're using right now, you could do a dark gray or even black. And if the thread is shiny, then you can see the design, even though it's almost the same color as the shirt. And that's because of the way the light hits it. And your eye naturally looks at that, right? So that's the reason why I think shiny thread is really popular, is because it attracts your eye a little more than a matte finish. And I know lots of people will use matte finish thread and shiny thread in the same design because they want to accentuate certain parts of the design.
Right.
Very well said.
I love those tone on tone looks too, whether it be screen print, and I've seen them in embroidery and I think they're incredible. And this is just me not knowing embroidery to how that's done. So thank you very much. That is awesome on there. Now, I also think too, I love recycled products, especially if the quality's there and they work well, because now it just doesn't give you a quality product. It gives you a story to talk to. So you put that with like an all-made shirt or something like that, you have a pretty good story that it could be an upsell too. I mean, don't you think, Nancy and Marshall?
Yes,
absolutely. I've already got some recycled embroiderables sitting in my office waiting to be embroidered because, yes, it's not just an embroidery, it's, all over the world that we're trying to limit that carbon footprint. In that there's shirts out there that I haven't found 100% recycled shirts yet, but I would love to see them if they do come out. But I have found bags, I have found baseball caps so far that we can kind of pair up with this product and just promote, because what is the point of having a thread, which is just a small, minute part of, whatever you're embroidering on, you want to try and get that. And then Marshall and I were discussing, the need for the backing as well. So they're trying that, they're trying to create that, but it certainly has its challenges when it comes to the backing. It's a little easier with the thread itself.
So Frank that's watching, Frank Good is watching. He works for SNS. Hey, is there anything in y'all's catalog that is a 100% recycled garment? And this, or mostly recycled? I think that would be a fitting thing, especially if it's some sort of corporate wear or maybe work wear kind of thing. And then imagine the selling opportunity where you can have the story be, it's a recycled garment with recycled thread. Everything about it is a little more sustainable than doing something that's not.
Absolutely.
And I think in the right application, that certainly can become a really great seller.
Absolutely.
There you go. He just answered. So most of the Adidas polos are recycled polyester.
Nice.
Thanks, Frank. Oh, and we got some answers to our thread color questions. So Frank says black and white. Jim says red and black. Alan says hello. Hey, Alan.
Alan Singer. So Alan Singer, welcome back to the United States, Alan. He was in the Dominican Republic for many, many years running Boomba.
Oh, great.
And has just taken a position and moved his whole family. And I watch him on Facebook. His incredible looking German Shepherd, Achilles, being sent back to the United States and in quarantine. So Alan, welcome
Where
back.
is he living now, Alan?
I think he's living in St. Louis, but the shop is in Illinois. So Alan, make sure after the show you get a hold of me.
Great.
And Alan, I know Alan, I met him at SGIA. We were both on the same judging team for Golden Image.
Ah, great.
So,
great. So Kisa says her thread colors are white, royal, and red are school colors. So what are the best-selling thread colors, Nancy? Do you guys, I'm sure you guys keep track of that. Inventory.
Yeah, a little bit here and there. I mean, it's interesting to listen to them because those are exactly it. Your black, your white, your red, and your royal blue are your top colors. And then it just kind of goes from there. But, absolutely. Your schools, your collegiate, and then corporate America is, our biggest probably industry out there, when it comes to supplying them with their branded shirts.
So Nancy, I see a lot of, and I've heard stories about this. So maybe you know the answer, maybe you don't. I don't know. I'm springing on you out of the blue here. So I've heard that you really need to keep your cones of thread in like a Tupperware box with a lid on it so the thread doesn't dry out, rather than doing the big wall of thread display. And especially if you've got big temperature or humidity fluctuations. Do you know anything about that?
I do, yeah. So polyester kind of has gone through so much within, say, maybe the last 30 to 40 years. When polyester first came out, it ran crappy, to be blunt. And over the years, and by the time I came on 20 plus years ago, it was a beautiful thread. And, thread itself, you got your polyester and your rayon. As much as I love our rayon and it runs beautifully, and it has a beautiful sheen. We call it a sheen versus a shine just because the natural fibers in it, and it's a little bit richer of a color. But polyester threads have just come so far. And I've literally embroidered with 20-year-old thread, and it runs fine. The best way to store thread is in a cool, dry place, away from any sunlight, dirt, dust, and that. So that said, that Tupperware container stored in a closet is probably the best place to store it. Is the average embroiderer going to do that? Probably not. They're probably going to build shelves. A lot of times they keep them right in the boxes that they came in, which can be okay, but not really the best way to store them because it absorbs all that moisture that's in the air. So again, a shop really should be air controlled with your, nice, no humidity, no heat and things like that. But realistically, that's just not always going to happen. So
the box keeps dust and lint away from it, but nothing else.
Right.
Yeah. So I've completely retooled an embroidery thread department that was just one big pile of mess into organizing it by the numbers. If those of you that do embroidery, you know what I'm talking about. And that way it's easy to find. And that took several days to do.
Throwing them in the box is just like haphazardly in a box. That's the worst thing you can do for embroidery thread.
So
thread is very delicate, and the way the cones are created, they're nice and firm. As soon as I've seen cones just drop down like that, and all the thread comes up, and now it's all soft and no good. So we call it bruising. You could just bruise this little shoulder here. and it won't run well because the machines, are feeding that thread so fast. So now if you have a little dent here, that thread's going to catch on it. So
Right.
at the very least, they should be standing up on a shelf or in the box.
Right.
Yes, ideally in a sealed container.
So Cindy says, "Good morning. Did I miss anything good?"
No,
so
we've been waiting for
the
you.
whole show over just for
Yeah.
Cindy.
We actually haven't started, Cindy. We were waiting for you. So,
and Cindy, by the way, Nancy is an embroiderer. So, and she watches every week on YouTube. So, thank you, Cindy.
Yeah, some good stuff, new products. So make sure you see the replay.
So Frank says, speaking of the popularity of polyester polos, when is performance backing a must?
We should have made that a topic.
Yeah. How about that? Choosing the right embroidery backing. Oh my gosh, Frank. Thanks for the segue.
The big softball throw right there. Thank you.
All right. So let's get into backing a little bit, Nancy. So us screen printers, like everything in embroidery is kind of a mystery, right? So we've got different thicknesses of a backing. You got solvay, you got all types of different stuff. So kind of walk through what's going on with backing. Are there going to be new developments in it? What are you guys seeing and hearing? What's going on?
So I always like to give like a general kind of spiel when it comes to backing, because backings are broken down into how they're removed. So you have your cutaways that are literally removed with scissors. You have your tearaways that you can just kind of pop right off real nice. You have your wash away backings that dissolve with water in some way. And then you have your heataways that dissolve with heat. So when you think about your cutaway and your tearaway, it breaks down pretty simply in that your cutaways are always going to be used for a knit fabric. So that's that polyester knit fabrics, or your light your light dress shirts that are woven.
Mm-hmm.
Then the only time you really want to use a tearaway is for your heavy woven. So you think about your Carhartt jackets, your canvas bags, your denim jackets, and baseball hats, absolutely. So twill comes into play there. So what your cutaway backing is going to stay with the garment and the design throughout the life of the garment. It's going to wash. A nice quality one will stay throughout the life of the garment. Every tearaway, especially your basic ones, are going to wash away eventually. They break down, they get soft. So if you're embroidering on a denim jacket, the denim material is going to hold it up. It doesn't need a backing. If you're embroidering on lightweight, stretchy performance wear, you need that cutaway backing to stay with it to keep that design looking good.
Right.
Sounds like it's all about the foundation.
It is, absolutely. There's a lot of foundations when it comes to embroidery, because not only is backing your foundation, the digitizing part of it, the underlay, that's part of the design, that's a foundation as well. So the other two backings that are out there based on how they're removed is it would wash away. So maybe you don't want to see that backing, or maybe you're doing freestanding lace and all you want is the thread to be left over. Those wash away nicely. And heat away is simply when it needs to go away, but the fabric can't really take on water, so just different ways to do that. So I would love to talk more about the performance wear, because that is where the more advanced backings that are out there.
I've never heard of heat away. So go ahead, talk about performance wear.
Got it. So performance wear, Under Armour and Nike were probably the innovators when it came to this fabric. Fabric kind of existed all along. I think, we kind of grew up thinking cotton was the best thing to wear. It was so comfortable, but it never wicked away the fabric. So then they developed these Under Armour and Nike, which are polyester shirts. They might have a little extra technology within them, whether it's antimicrobial or whatever.
Right.
But in the end, the fabric's the same, whether you're picking it up at Walmart, you're picking it up from one of the apparel companies that have all the different qualities, different qualities from low to high. The fabric itself is the same. It's a thin polyester knit fabric that's super stretchy, slippery, and hard to embroider on, hard to hoop, and hard to digitize for. When I say hard, it's not. You can do it. You just need to know what you're doing when it comes to that. So backing wise, you certainly need a cutaway based on what I talked about. And we have two different ones. And the best part about them is they're super thin. So they're not adding bulk to your garment, which you certainly don't want on those flimsy shirts. So, you have a 10,000 stitch design on your left chest logo. I'm backwards, so I say my left chest logo. And you don't want the bulk of those heavy cutaways under there. So Madeira carries two different ones, our Easy Weblon No-Show, and it's basically a nylon embossed, super thin 1.5 ounce backing. And the other one is Easy Cut Performance, and that's one of our very few woven backings, because backings are generally non-woven, meaning they have no direction to them. So they're kind of created like paper, where there's fibers, there's a binder in there, they're created, flattened, and I'm sure there's a lot more technology in there as well. But so Easy Weblon No-Show and the Cut Performance are both super thin with super stability, or ultra.
So, to answer Frank's question, is there one that's polyester?
So most of your backings have a combination of either polyester, rayon with a binder. There are some cotton ones out there. There are some nylon, polypropylene, and all like that. So yes, there are typically your cutaways have more polyester in them. Your tearaways have more the rayon, which is made out of wood pulp, cellulose, so kind of more like paper.
Sure.
So, is that poly content, is that already recycled?
There is no recycled polyester within our stabilizers at this time. Hopefully in the future we'll have something. Some of our backings are Okotex certified, which is basically says there were no harmful substances that were used in there. So that's kind of we focus on that, as are all of the Madeira threads as well. They're all Okotex certified.
Okay, great.
That is important to a lot of embroidery companies.
Yep. Okay. So catching Cindy up, who does Nancy rep? So Nancy, who do you work for again?
I'm with Madeira USA.
There you go. And Cindy also says that she's used the heat away on my memorial handkerchiefs. So,
awesome.
Right. And she says, I like the action backed by Goonold. I'm sure that all the companies carry it. It's great for the performance polos.
Yep, that's the same as our Easy Cut Performance. Yep, same product.
Okay. Well, excellent. So
what?
Go ahead, Alan. I have a question, but you can do your question first.
Yeah. What would you say is the biggest mistake you see people doing in backings and choosing the wrong backing?
Using too much.
Okay.
Yep. So everybody loves a 3 ounce backing cutaway because it makes almost anything look good for the most part. Like it makes the design will stitch out well. However, you get that bulk behind there. If it's on a white shirt, now you got a badge effect, showing on the back side.
Yep, I've seen
that cut performance or the Weblon No-Show is intended for that, so you don't see it as much.
Got it.
People use 2 pieces of 3 ounce, so now you've got 6 ounces of cutaway in the back of the shirt. And 9 times out of 10, if you ask them why, they say it looks good. It makes the design look good. And I can tell you right now, 6 ounces of a cutaway is going to make pretty much any design look good.
Yeah.
in and of itself, but not really as functional on the garment.
Yeah,
Very good.
and I think just from doing, what I do is workflow efficiency and stuff. A lot of embroidery shops buy the big rolls of backing and then spend all that time cutting it down rather than just buying squares that are already cut down to the right size. So they're not spending that labor doing it. And
Right.
then, and speaking of backing, sometimes they use the wrong color, right? So, you got a black backing on a light colored shirt and you can see it right through the fabric, or white on a dark, it's the same thing. Right?
Sure.
What do you think about that, Nancy?
So when it comes to the rolls and the pre-cuts, I mean, it's certainly a preference of the company. There generally is going to be downtime, and it depends on how big the company is. Do they need somebody just for that? Are they saving money? But they might be the finishers, of the embroidery. The pre-cuts are certainly the easiest way to go. You can just grab one and go. All the different sizes pretty much that you need. And then I forgot the second part of your question.
The colors.
The colors, yes. So everything's available in white, and that's what most people are going to use. That's what most people need. Unless you're embroidering on a white see-through shirt, most embroidery, you're never going to see it, or the backing, I should say, you're not going to see it. To make it look better, the end result, a black backing certainly looks better on the back side of a darker garment. And it's even more, I think, important when you do see that from time to time. So when it's a jacket, if it's a dark black denim jacket, you certainly want to use a black tearaway for that, because you don't want hunks of white kind of poking through.
Yeah, it just looks to me a little messy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So some more comments. Cindy says, I buy both squares for less chest, rolls for odd size items. Yes.
She has a comment above that too.
Oh, I'm sorry. Missed it. I do have Madeira products too. No, only one piece of backing.
Absolutely.
Right. And Jim says, I got a roll and regret it when I have to cut it. Exactly. Sean says, good afternoon, everyone. Hey, Sean.
Good afternoon. From Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's get to the third topic, which I think is going to be really fun, which is all about specialty threads and techniques. So let's talk about what are the most popular, what are some things that people can do that maybe they really haven't considered, and that can help boost some sales a little bit. So take it away.
All right. So specialty threads, we consider anything other than your 40 weight rayon or polyester, because that's what everybody uses. You choose between the two, or you use both. When you're using both rayon and polyester 40 weight, you get even more colors to choose from. So would it be nice to have thousands of colors? Absolutely. Is it practical for us to have thousands of colors? Probably not. So we have hundreds. We have 400 rayon, 400 poly. So it gives you a nice array to pick from. So moving away from that, probably the top specialty thread is you go thinner for that than that 40 weight thread, which is a 60 weight thread or a 75 weight thread, both in rayon and poly, 75 just poly. But now you have a nice thin thread, and why would you want that? Well, you think about your corporate logos that have the little slogans underneath it. So your logo is nice, big, bright, and looks, awesome, but maybe you want to say something about your company or a statement. Now you can do that in the nice small letters. So your 60 weight goes down to like 3 millimeter high, and your 75 can go down to 2.5 millimeters high. So that's pretty small.
That's tiny.
It is. And somebody actually embroidered the Declaration of Independence on a piece of cloth with our 75 weight thread, and it's legible. And it's, I think it was like, I don't even think it's 10 inches by 10 inches. So.
Dude, who is that? I'd love to see that.
I'll send you a picture of that. I have to find out where it is. Things disappear sometimes. Last I knew, it was around, so I'll take a
That
peek.
was exhibited at an ISS show. I think it was
Yeah,
entered in there. I was part of the judging of that, but not the embroidery section. I remember seeing that.
yeah,
And
yeah.
the same person has done a couple presidents, I
Okay.
believe, too.
Yeah.
And it's, if I remember right, they're not even from United States. I think they're from South America.
I can't
But
confirm that, but I know
I
that.
might be wrong, but it was incredible, Marshall. It was just
Yeah.
stinking incredible. Yeah.
Well, if you want to win awards, what you do is do stuff that makes people go, "What is that?
Yeah.
How do
did
they
you
do it?"
that?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then there's just a plethora of other specialty threads that we have. Certainly metallic is a go-to,
Mhm.
whether it's your smooth and shiny metallic, that you can throw it into any design, an element within a design and really get the opposite effect with that matte finish. And your shiny thread, you can go even shinier with.
Yeah, I've done some really cool design work with embroidery. We use that variegated thread where it's like different colors, and
Yeah, cool.
that looks really cool. Do you guys carry that?
We do. Yep. So we have ombres, which are, or variegated, I should say, like you said. Those typically tend to be like the same color hue, just lighter and
Mhm.
darker, that have a real nice look to them. Or you can get your multicolors, which give kind of a blocky look to the
Yeah,
design. And then
yeah,
the ashwoods have like smaller segments. So there's a lot of different ones that you can do that with and get a lot of cool,
yeah. We did
cool.
some fun stuff with like big, thick outlines or backgrounds, and with that thread, and
Yeah,
it just looks so cool because every single shirt is a little different, right?
it
And
is. Yeah, definitely a one of a kind. I think my favorite thing I ever did with one of those was a multicolor, and it was pastels. And this design that I wish I could remember who did it. I think it was Dakota
Mhm.
Designs, was a gazing ball, and it was all little things within it because it was like looking at a garden. And I used it for one of the background colors, and it looked like a rainbow. It
oh,
literally just stitched out perfectly. I didn't
mhm.
really intend it to look as it did, but when it came out, I'm like, wow, that really worked out perfect. And that was just one of my favorite ways. Um,
Right.
it's the,
Yeah, back when they had Stitches magazine. Do you remember that? Stitches
yeah,
magazine.
yeah,
We did a contest, and we did a dragonfly, and we did a blend using metallic threads for the dragonfly wings, and we did puff for the body of the insect.
yep,
And it came out just fantastic. And that was just fading like metallics, like purples and blues on one wing and greens and yellows on another, and it just came out really really great. Um, got some great comments here. So Frank says, learn the hard way back in the day to change your needles using metallic for a fire department. Yep. And then Keith says, we did some glow in the dark for a Halloween softball tournament, and the kids love it. Uh,
So, Nancy, let's talk about needles. Frank brought up an interesting thing of changing your needles, and they're different needles, and what kind do you need to use?
absolutely. So embroidery needles are a little bit different from sewing needles, and it really has to do with how big the eye is. So embroidery needles have a slightly larger eye. Our machines can go up to 1,500 stitches a minute now, which is ridiculously fast. Um, I don't run the machines here more than 700 or 800 stitches a minute because number one, I have the time. Number two, I want it to look good when it's done, and certainly don't want to be rethreading the machine all the time.
Sure.
So I always like to say, if you had a sports car and it goes really, really fast, doesn't mean you're always going to run it really, really fast. So keep the speed kind of down where it needs to be to run well. And when it comes to the specialty threads, it's even more important to slow it down. When it comes to needles, the thread is what determines how big the needle is or the size of the needle. So the thicker the thread is, the bigger the needle is because it needs a bigger eye for it to go through. A lot of your threads, you don't, if you're using a 70-10 or a 75-11 needle, a lot of your specialty threads, you can just stay right with that needle that you're using. Unless you're having some issues with it and it's just breaking quite often, maybe you want to go up a half size or a size needle. So things like our, 40 weight, of course, 75-11. We have a new metallic thread, talking about metallics. It's our CR metallic. And that one of the great things about it is you really only need to use a 75-11 needle. So you don't have to change it. The thicker threads, like your Super Twist 30, that's a real thick thread. So you got to go up to a 90 for that. Burmilana Co.
Mhm.
Those are the wool and cotton blended with acrylic, super thick. So now you're going way up to 116.
Right.
Ideally, you would want the smallest needle possible to work, smaller penetration hole, which means results in a clearer design. But that's only when the fabric is kind of delicate and you need it to look a little more clear and crisp. Otherwise, I tend to use the larger needle.
Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm. And Cindy says, I never change my needles for metallics or speed. I sound like a rebel this morning, not trying to.
Cindy, it sounds like you know what you're doing. So if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I think when it comes down to it, I think if you digitize the file right and it's made for how you run, I know lots of shops, they do their own digitizing because they want it built for their shop rather than sending things out. The more jumps and stuff that causes more breaks, and there's just and I think changing needles is important, especially when they get dull, right? We need to always do that. So, so she also says she had lots of good trainers. So thanks, Cindy.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. So let's got our last topic here, which is really about sales, right? So embroidery sales outlook. And so I kind of already think I know the answer here, but has the sales taken off for embroidery like it has with screen printing, and you guys are really seeing the world opening back up?
Absolutely. This whole past year has been a strange world for everybody. But for me, for us here at Madeira, yeah, the sales have gone up exponentially. People are getting into it, and we're only being held back at this point when it comes to inventory. Inventory, as you know, when it comes to the supply chain, is still a challenge, but yet we're still doing great. And the sales and the new people coming into the industry is as well.
So are you guys seeing disruption in what you guys do? I mean, like not being able to get things or certain colors or different products, or because you're not really like component electrical parts or whatever, doesn't really affect you.
Right. No, I think it's twofold. One is so many more people are getting into the industry when it comes to embroidery. And the other thing is the actual supply chain issues, getting in, products in a timely manner, is a challenge. And we're still catching up right now.
Yeah.
For sure. But, obviously we're doing something right if we're doing good,
Yeah.
You think about how much better you can be doing once we get back to our norm and, things are really flowing a lot better when it comes to inventory. We'll be good to go.
Right. And as far as inventory, the new poly neon green, people can buy that really soon, right? Is that available at GSG or other distributors soon?
So whenever we have a new product, we kind of start with ourselves first, and then it will eventually make its way out to the distributors. We have people here that work directly with them. And, we set ourselves up first, and then we, kind of reach out to them to get their forecast and what they want to do. And then it will go from there for sure. So as soon as next week, it's going to be available to purchase in those limited colors, in limited locations. I believe right now we just have it in our headquarters here at New Hampshire. And I'm sure it's going to take off. I can't imagine.
And can people get samples of that, or they just buy a cone and,
Well, they can certainly buy a cone. We do have some samples available, so we can send those out as well.
When you said limited colors, you said it's available in 70 colors. Are you just bringing in certain colors to start with, or?
Yeah, so, they're basing it off the polyneon colors themselves that are already out there. And certainly the popular ones, those reds, the black, white, the red, the royal blues, and all those are going to be the top of the list. But then they just go from there, because we know what the popular colors are. And,
right.
That's what they're going to start with. And then eventually they'll bring in more and more.
Your black, white, reds, royal blues that we talked about. Yeah.
Right. So,
maybe gold.
Gold. Yep. An athletic gold. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cindy says stress and supply chains in all areas.
Yes, it is.
And also says, I had a customer this week that wanted 48 Richardson caps. He did not care what colors I had. So he has 48 wild and classy caps with his logo.
I think I might have saw that, Cindy. Yeah. I'll just take what you have. Yeah. I mean, I hear extra large and 2XL and black shirts and sweatshirts and things like that. It's like
black
they
hoodies.
don't exist. Black hoodies. Yeah. They don't exist. Interesting.
Yeah.
And I know with our clients, we tell them, man, you're going to want to keep an extra. You're going to want to keep, when you can get it a little bit, you don't want to hoard it, but you do want to, kind of help your clients out, but also just communicate it to them saying, look, I'm sure Cindy did that, going, okay, you want 48 Richardson caps. Here's what I have. Here's what I can get. What do you want to do? You got to just help them come through the situation also.
Yeah.
And so when you guys are looking ahead to next year, trade shows or trying to plan what's going on with the supply chain stuff, what are you guys seeing? Are you guys thinking that everything's going to keep taking off, or what are y'all thinking about in terms of how you're helping your customers?
I mean, right now we're still so uncertain with the fall coming, the flu season's coming. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
This fall for sure. I'm certainly hoping that it's not as bad as last year. That's for sure. And we're hoping that the supply chain's going to level out a little bit, and we're positioning ourselves to continue to grow, and you have to juggle around a little bit. Maybe you're not going to be getting it from the same supplier, and you have to look who else is out there, that we could possibly get it from. And the thread's always going to come from Madeira, Germany. That's our core product. But when it comes to the backings and the accessories, you have a little more leeway to move around a little bit.
So is the thread made in Germany?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For our international listeners, where in Germany are they located at?
They are in Garnfabrik.
Okay.
Yep, that's the wholesale division. Madeira has two different divisions. We do have a retail division as well. And it's simply, for the most part, it's the same threads. So instead of a 5,500 yard cone or the 1,000 meter spools, they have the little 200 meter spools.
Okay.
For the threads. So it's more of a crafting side of it.
Right.
So it's the same thread, just put on different products. And
did you find that crafting market just exploded during pandemic?
It did. I mean, we have a bit of a crossover, and a lot of those are part of the new companies that we have. So certainly our MSRP customers have increased for sure.
Are you seeing a lot more mixed media out there at all? Myself,
not really. I mean, I just see it on the in the trade magazines when they're doing the contest and things like that. Because we don't offer anything else other than but embroidery, we've dabbled in the screen printing, more direct to garment, some of the different printers that are available out there. So I don't personally have a lot of experience with the mixed media.
Okay. Sure.
Well, I do. And it's a fantastic way to add some pizzazz, and you can screen print. And what we always did was we would screen print like all down one side of a shirt or something to give like a background texture or some interest, and then you would embroider in one area wherever that is. And what we would do is we would embroider an X for where the center point is, so you know where to hoop. And, and of course, it doesn't have to. If you did it right, your design is made so it doesn't have to be like too perfect, where the embroidery is over the screen print. It's just somewhere in that general area, so you can hoop it faster. And that always worked really great. So, and lots of fun designing that, and it usually gets a lot more value. You can charge a lot more because it's 2 steps, and it's really, if you want to really wow a customer, that's a really great way to do it. And that could be a DTG print, it could be a screen print. I've done both, so something to think about if you have those available for you. Definitely.
Sounds like, yeah, and that's the nice thing about our industries is they definitely do cross over, and very often, if you're offering the screen printing, you're going to add that embroidery, or vice versa. It's very common with our companies, our customers, I should say.
Yeah, well, we've done all kinds of crazy stuff, like screen printing a shirt and then using that shirt as the basis for the applique, and then we're sewing design on top, right? And all that's done all at once, and and then you can put some funky thread in there too, right? Glow in the dark or fluorescent, or even using clear sometimes, so nobody knows how it was applied. Clear thread is really cool.
Speaking of, we actually do have a new thread that came out a few months ago, so I neglected to mention it. In 20 plus years that I've been here, customers have been looking for reflective thread.
Sure.
Ooh.
Okay.
Different companies have come out with them, and I've tried embroidering with them, and they're just so thick and coarse, and there's some kind of a glass element that's in there.
A glass bead, almost like a glass bead.
Yeah. And that's what is needed in it to give it that reflective. And Madeira, Germany, has come out with it a couple of months ago, I should say, maybe 4 or 5. But anyways, we do have a true reflective embroidery thread. So unlike the other ones that were out there, you try to stitch with it, and the best you can get is a decorative stitch, like a seam look to it. But to be able to embroider a design with it, they just will not cooperate. And the thread that we have, that is a reflective thread, amazingly stitches out well. It's it's not as soft as a 40 weight thread. It's a little thicker. So the digitizing just needs to be adjusted a little bit. But I stitched it out in the stock designs or other designs that were digitized for 40 weight, and it sews out beautifully. I also used it with 3D foam as well. And now I doubled up our heavier or our more dense foam. And I mean, the loft that I got out of that thread with the foam and the reflectiveness was pretty cool.
So so you could do the reflective thread on a logo, and the whole logo would be reflective?
That part of the logo that's stitched out with it is reflective. So it is important to say this is not a safety product. So we don't recommend that you.
Yeah, just for the badassery of that, right?
Yes,
absolutely.
A logo on a backpack or a logo on a hat that's reflective.
Yep.
You're at the concert or you're, whatever. I think that would be really kind of cool.
Blinding the band, like you
Well,
can't
and
concentrate because you're.
I even think like things like people that are cycling and stuff like that, they have their reflective gear that are safety reflective, but when they have something and want it embellished on there, that's just great because a little bit more reflectiveness.
Enhanced
That is
visibility.
awesome. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah,
exactly.
we picked up one of the yellow vests that, that 3M tape that's on there. That's what you need. And they're putting it where it needs to be to create that safety garment. But now,
Right.
if you want to put your name or, whatever else, you can add it on there.
Right. What's the name of that product too? The reflective?
Yep. It's called Reflect. Yes, I believe that's it. But if you search reflective on our website, it'll pop right for you.
Wonderful.
All right. I love that. I'm going to be.
I do too.
I've got some stuff coming up. I bet I'm going to use it just for that.
Good
yeah. That's what these shows are for, man. Stuff that nobody knew about. It's like, ooh, there's the little diamond in the rough. What's that?
Old dogs can learn a new trick.
Absolutely.
Right?
Well, it's all new to me on the embroidery, so I'm like loving it.
Yeah. So we have a couple minutes left. So talk to us, Nancy, about trade shows coming up. You guys are going to have some booths. So if you guys want to see more about Madeira or maybe get a color card or whatever, where are you guys going to be?
So we, I think it's next week or the week after, is Atlantic City. Must be the week after.
Couple weeks.
So
it's the 24th through the 27th.
Yes.
August.
Yep. So we will be there. I wish I had my booth number handy, but I don't. I used to do that, but I don't anymore. And if Morgan was here, she could tell us. So go see Morgan and the gang down there at Atlantic City if you can, and then we will be down in Fort Worth the following months.
All right.
Yeah. So hopefully if you were at DAX at Indianapolis, we were there.
I was
and
there.
I think that's it for this year. There might be another one later on in the year.
I know at the same time ISS or Impressions Atlantic City is going on as DAX Chicago's going on, and I know GSG is going to have a booth, so they'll be, I'm sure, showing Madeira thread there also.
Got it. Yeah, it's exciting that we're getting out. Starting out slow, but it'll get there.
Absolutely.
And then I think we're always going to have this virtual stuff. I don't think this is going away.
No.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have all the stuff for next year. Long Beach.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, maybe I'll go to shows again so I can head up to California.
Yeah. So I'm already planning on Long Beach right now. So good stuff's ahead. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Nancy. It was great. And let's share your information here. Where is that? So here's her email. If you guys want to reach out to her about anything about Madeira and what you guys do. So that's her email. And here is the website. And I have that teed up. Let me do that real quick. You guys see that, right?
Yep.
So this is MadeiraUSA.com. And is there a link here to find dealers for where somebody's watching?
There is. Down at the bottom, there's a square there that says locations.
Locations. Here we go.
Yep.
So if you want to find how to find that thread, just click here. And then look, you got a map.
We are everywhere. Yeah, you can buy directly from us, or maybe there's a distributor there like GSG that's nice and close to you.
Yep.
And you can.
Distributors. Here we go.
Yeah.
And where's GSG? There it is, right there.
Right there.
All right. Well, great. So, wow, it's kind of trippy. All right. Well, hey, Nancy, don't go anywhere. We're just going to end the show. So, everyone, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you, and we'll catch you next week. And next week, we don't have a guest. It's just me and you, right?
Just me and you. Yep.
All right.
Maybe I have a couple emails out for some.
By then.
Hopefully, I have a couple emails out to some people. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. So.
Great. And Cindy says, I have to head out. Thanks for a great informative show.
Thank
Frank
you, Cindy.
says, great info. Thank you so much.
Frank,
Thanks,
thank you,
guys.
Frank.
And we'll see everyone next time. Thank you so much, Nancy. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.